Since January this year, the Bulletin has profiled about 30 of the 1,100 people experiencing homelessness in Central Oregon. The folks we profiled came from Bend, Redmond, Lapine, Sisters, and many of the forested areas in between. They ranged in age from 1-year-old to 79, and they sleep on couches and in cars and in drafty trailers in the woods. The project started with a roundtable of community advocates who expressed that one of the biggest challenges in getting action on the homelessness issue in Central Oregon is a lack of understanding about who actually experiences homelessness. So we as a newsroom sent our reporters out throughout the course of the year to meet folks experiencing homelessness and share their stories. We profiled, there was a lot of relationship building that had to happen with the really large community of advocates in Central Oregon. That's nonprofits and churches and other agencies that help support folks experiencing homelessness. We built connections with the advocates and the volunteers who work for those organizations, and they helped us get in contact with people experiencing homelessness who were willing to share their stories. We didn't go into any of those conversations with a particular agenda or looking for a particular kind of story, but we found those that were willing to share their stories from a broad range of our community.
A really, I think, important way to kind of build trust and break down barriers with these stories is to just show up and kind of stop talking and just kind of let people talk about whatever they want to talk about and share their story and continue to talk and tell them that I want to hear like the full circumstances. And I think one thing that was really important about our series was that we reflected not only the various challenges that people face, but also how people cope with them, how people kind of work through it, how people what people care about and how they're trying to navigate these circumstances.
Any other reflections on the series as a whole that we didn't get to talk about yet?
I think it's important to consider all of the work that the different advocates do around town. They really have a difficult job on their hands, but they do it with grace, and they work very hard to make sure that their clients and the people who they represent and who live on the streets, that they're cared for and safe, and they're doing what they can to help mitigate their individual situations.
Yeah.
So this kind of, I think, this series brings to light that there's so many levels of homelessness in Central Oregon.
I learned that all of us are not too far from homelessness. And it could be an injury away. It could be a paycheck or 3 away. It could be your house gets destroyed and you have nowhere to go. It's just, we're all vulnerable. And I think that this series really taught me that.
So did reporting this series impact at all the way that you do, your reporting in other areas of your work or your work as a journalist more broadly?
So I think reporting on the profiles for the Faces of Homelessness series really helped me gain that ability to approach people in a more empathetic way.
I know approaching folks with a camera in your hand can sometimes be a little bit intimidating for them. How do you kind of approach that, and how do you go about building trust?
I try to talk with them a little bit and see what their story is, and oftentimes it's really great to have a reporter there to sort of break the ice. When I'm alone, I just try to get the story and gradually find a time to say, do you mind if I take some pictures? And hopefully they say yes.
I'm hopeful that this series kind of shows our community what our newsroom and our newspaper is all about, and that, at least from my perspective, homelessness is one of the largest issues that Central Oregon is facing, and so I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to dedicate our resources and our time and our front page space every other Sunday for a series like this.